So I've been thinking about what's going on in America and with the police officers and African Americans or black, whatever. We, I've been thinking about there's like three main points, but right now I want to ask, what are we doing? Why are we going in the direction we are? Why are we attacking people? Why are we killing people? Why are we threatening to do all these things? Why are we being so hostile towards other people? Because it doesn't get us anywhere. And this is a sad truth, and again, some people won't agree with me in this, maybe a lot, but people need to stop giving people a reason to be afraid. African Americans need to stop being aggressive towards towards police officers, and police officers need to stop being aggressive towards African Americans. And yet, we do the exact opposite. When someone dies and someone gets killed, if African American gets killed by a police officer, now we're rioting and looting and killing police officers and threatening to bomb police stations, and that just creates a situation where now police officers are afraid of African Americans and of America in general, and police officers are quitting and they're afraid to do the job that they're getting paid to do. But if they're afraid to do it, how are they going to go into a situation with an African American or with some other person and not feel afraid? If an African American goes and kills two police officers, what gives anybody in that precinct a reason to not think that some random black person coming up to them or them pulling over a black person in a cop car or anything is not going to just turn around and shoot them in the face? Because lately, that's what's been happening. Something happens with a police officer. It's terrible. This never should have happened. And then some police officers, most of the time, who aren't even the ones who did the crime, are getting shot in the face or killed doing nothing, sitting in a cop car or outside of a police station or outside of a train station or whatever. But that just makes more police officers be more afraid of you. You have to stop giving people a reason to be afraid. This is a stretch, and it's kind of a sad truth, but it's a little bit of a truth. Most white people, a police officer isn't afraid of them because they don't normally do anything. There's no hostility or anything between them. And I get there's hostility between African Americans and not blacks and police officers because of what's been going on and 80 years of history, everything. But something has to change. And it's not going to be a police officer. That's the sad truth. It's not. They can't do anything except for do their job. There are people in this country who are just blatantly racist and will see a black person and put them on the ground and pin them and do all these really bad things or whatever. But that's not everyone. So why are we retaliating on people who aren't the ones who did it just because we can? You have to stop making people afraid of you or we won't get anywhere. Right now, it literally is almost an eye for an eye. If a black person dies, a police officer dies, or two police officers die. If something happens, we riot. It's like, why? Giving violence with violence does nothing. Having a fire and putting more fire on the fire doesn't put the fire out. It just makes it bigger. We have to stop being violent. Stop making people afraid of us. It doesn't do anything. And sadly, it doesn't help with social media and the fact that the younger generations are fighting this fight that we don't understand. Because we don't. My generation, at least for the most part, my schools and the things I've seen, I had a principal, assistant principal, who's African American, and told me that they needed to go on a clean up the school because obviously our school was not unattached from the outside world, was the way it was put, that we were very racist. And we had our moments where I guess people could see something racist, but we never did. I had heard black people at our school called white kids and niggers. And it was the other way around. And it was never an issue. And there was all this, what people see as racist, that went on that neither one of us cared about. Neither one of us understood. People, the young kids and young generations don't understand what they're growing up in. And they're growing up in a world where social media is a thing, where nudity and pornography and cussing and racism and all that stuff is just out there whenever you want to see it, whenever you want. And that is just a thing. We're growing up in a world where, for us as kids, it's not as important. It's not seen as bad. And it is, granted, I'll take that back. It is seen as bad, but it's not seen as bad from between us. It's seen bad from adults who've lived in a time that was much worse than it is today and who are keeping it down. We have to let go of something at some point. The more we say we're victims and the more we say we're this and that, and we just do absolutely nothing besides kill people and riot and be aggressive, then we don't get anywhere. An eye for an eye never helps, ever. But that's the way we want to do it for some reason. And it doesn't make sense. If you can explain this to me, please do.